Is it possible? Is it finally possible that Kathleen Kennedy is in fact on her way out? Now, I want to preface this with a little bit of drama behind the reporting itself. This is a report from The Hollywood Reporter. We have never had a reputable source like The Hollywood Reporter, to my knowledge, say that there is a timeline on Kathleen Kennedy retiring, but apparently the sourcing for this is an individual inside sort of the online Star Wars community that is not always the most reputable, that has sometimes come forward with information that was flawed. So I think that this presents us with an interesting sort of conundrum. Do we take the Hollywood Reporter for what the Hollywood Reporter is, something that is usually, at least with Hollywood instances, reputable? Or do we understand that this is coming from being sourced by an individual that is not always reputable? Well, here's something that may have happened. What if the individual who had reported this initially, the one who is not always trustworthy, was handed this scoop by the Hollywood Reporter in order that the Hollywood Reporter has the benefit of doubt in the media? Maybe that's how something like this works once in a while when the Hollywood Reporter doesn't want to burn its bridges with its sources. They can't be the first to out the information, so they report on someone else's reporting. But in an article titled "Lucasfilm Boss Kathleen Kennedy Expected to Retire This Year," subtitled "The Prolific Producer Has Presided Over the Star Wars and Indiana Jones Franchises Through Ups and Downs Since 2012," from The Hollywood Reporter by Aaron Couch, I have just a brief summary of the article here. After more than a decade in a galaxy far, far away, Kathleen Kennedy is charting a course toward retirement. The Lucasfilm boss has told associates she plans to retire by the end of 2025. Puck reported Monday night. Reps for Kennedy and Lucasfilm were not immediately available for comment. Kennedy joined Lucasfilm in 2012 as co-chair alongside Star Wars creator George Lucas, and a few months later took the reins after Disney paid $4 billion for the company and Lucas exited. But even as Star Wars struggled to return to the big screen, the franchise found newfound life on Disney Plus with The Mandalorian launching in November 2019 alongside the streaming service. It became a breakout hit, spawning multiple spin-offs, including the critically acclaimed Andor, which returns for a second season in April, as well as multiple reports that failed to hit the zeitgeist, multiple shows, that failed to hit the zeitgeist and sparked worries of diluting the Star Wars brand. Coming up, Lucasfilm has The Mandalorian and Grogu from director Jon Favreau due out May 22nd, 2026, as the first big screen outing for the franchise since Rise of Skywalker. The news comes ahead of April's Star Wars celebration in Tokyo, where the future of Star Wars franchise is expected to be unveiled. Now, that is a brief summary of the goings-on here, but I have 5 thoughts that I want to get to over this idea, possibly reporting. It just depends on whether or not this is rumor or actuality. The big question, obviously, in the wake of something like this is who is the replacement? There are 3 choices that come to mind. Jon Favreau, as he has produced the only good and profitable Star Wars in the Disney era, that being The Mandalorian. Jon Favreau, if you look at his history, is utterly competent. He is someone who can bootstrap. That is what he did early in his career. He is someone who can set out and originate franchises. That's what he did with Iron Man. He's someone that can come up with critically acclaimed movies, like, was it Chef? Is that what it was called? Something about his movie about, a chef was critically acclaimed. He's also someone who can create cultural, iconic moments, movies, characters, like he did with Elf. Now, I work retail, and to this day, We still come out every Christmas with elf merchandise. This is a movie that had where did that come from, right? Favreau has shown the ability to create cultural moments and movies. So, in my opinion, that's the play there. In my opinion, it is obvious that they have to go with Jon Favreau. You don't give him the opportunity to say no. You get him in the building for the interview, you offer him so much money that he simply cannot walk away. He's obviously the creative type. He's someone who seems to still want to direct. Well, you don't take that away from him. You give him whatever he wants if you are Disney, if you are Lucasfilm. You give him whatever he wants and needs and able to take that franchise head on. Probably, however, that is not how this will go. The obvious corporate shill pick is Dave Filoni. I'm going to use a sports reference here for Dave Filoni because this is what it reminds me of. Now, I want to put this out there. I am not the most familiar with any of Dave Filoni's franchises, any of Dave Filoni's intellectual properties. I'm not really a great big Star Wars guy. I just find this story and the crash of Star Wars utterly fascinating because in my childhood, the Star Wars fans that I knew, it's not that they wanted Star Wars stuff. It was almost like they just didn't want their money. They would rather give their money away in order to have Star Wars stuff. It was the most wild thing. I remember the kids that I knew buying multiples of the same action figure. It didn't make any sense to me, but it's like they couldn't have money. They had to get rid of it. And this followed them into adulthood. That is all gone. That's gone. The most money-grubbing franchise that ever has existed, at least as far as I can tell. I mean, was it the second and third movie were after George Lucas had signed the deal with, was it Kenner or Hasbro to make the toys, and he got all of the profit? No, Lucas signed that deal with Fox before the first movie, right? Is that how it went? That they would cut his budget a little bit, but he got to keep all of the licensing deals. And so that's what he did, and he made movies that were just cartoons in live action. They were just built to sell toys. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay the story in Star Wars, but is you could have made those character designs much more simple if you weren't trying to sell toys on the back end. Dave Filoni seemingly loves that franchise, seemingly loves everything to do with Star Wars. But what it reminds me of is he's like one of these really good defensive coordinators in the NFL who then takes a head coaching job somewhere and is an utter disaster as a head coach, just can't do it, has no idea what he's doing. He's been promoted to failure. It seems to me that Dave Filoni has been promoted to failure. It seems to me that Dave Filoni kind of has an eye for what it means to make a good cartoon and no idea that live action is different. That is just how it seems to me. Maybe I'm absolutely wrong on that front. And the third name here is perhaps surprising, but I don't think it should be. Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige was at one point in time going to lead his own trilogy in the Star Wars universe. He had penned a writer and everything. He was granted this ability, this opportunity by Kathleen Kennedy, never came to pass. I believe this was all the way back in 2019 that this happened, 2020 maybe. So, it's been a long time since Marvel had a hit. Probably, however, they still want to keep Kevin Feige in the House of Mouse. What if what you end up doing, because Kevin Feige is a Star Wars fan, and he has poisoned the Marvel brand. A lot of these questionable decisions must have come directly from Kevin Feige. A lot of these bad choices must have come from Kevin Feige. This is after the turn. However, Marvel got themselves up and running. Marvel got themselves ahead of the entire pack. And then comes the turn where they face planted. If Disney believes that all Feige has to do is learn from this and not make the same mistakes, though the entire company seems hell-bent on making those same mistakes, but pretend they believe that the lesson has been learned there. They believe that Kevin Feige knows what he did, he just can't save where he's at. Why not shift him over to Star Wars at Lucasfilm and let someone else run the Marvel ship? Maybe Jon Favreau. Maybe Jon Favreau. So I think that those are the three answers to that question as far as I know. I'm interested to see if anyone else is able to throw out any names and interesting scenarios there. The number two thing here, this is very interesting to me because of the timing. I think this means no Rey movie, right? There was supposed to be a Rey Palpatine, Rey Skywalker movie. The movie had previously been removed from the 2026 slate, but as far as I know, it was never officially canceled. It was just kind of swept under the rug, and no one ever addressed it. Here's the thing. Is the Rey movie gone because Kathleen Kennedy is retiring? Or was Kathleen Kennedy told, look, we're not doing this. We're not giving you $250 million to create a movie about a character that no one likes. And she said, if you don't give me the ball, I'm going home. And Disney called her bluff. Is that what is happening here? This is speculation, obviously, but I believe, from the best of my recollection, the Rey movie was removed from the 2026 slate fairly recently. So this is interesting to me because for a long time they had put up this farce as if the Rey movie were going to be not just made, but successful and the greatest Star Wars that ever was made. The next idea here, the number 3 talking point, is something that I have to wonder about. I don't believe the Star Wars franchise has ever been this low. And again, not a Star Wars guy. Not a big Star Wars guy. So I might be wrong. There may have been lower points. There was a long time after the original trilogy came out where there were no Star Wars movies. But, well, it had to have been like 15 years, right? 84 to 99, is that right? The 50-year anniversary for Star Wars is coming. Does Disney have their head enough above water, have their head enough out of their own ass to look at the situation and realize this is a legacy moment, the 50th anniversary of Star Wars A New Hope. Came out March 25th, 1977. Are they cognizant enough of the moment and the state of the franchise that they want to have something good going on for the 50th anniversary, and they know that is not in this direction? Because the report is that Kathleen Kennedy is retiring. Well, we have seen this with the legacy media recently. We have seen this with the legacy media. I put out a video on this channel just yesterday about the Joy Reid situation, and tangent to the Joy Reid situation is the Jim Acosta situation. Jim Acosta was told by management, hey, we've got this other time slot for you. Real late night, that's cool, huh? You want to do that, Jimmy? Jim Acosta knew what was happening. We're going to shift you to this other time slot, a much worse time slot, or you can retire. You can quit. Jim Acosta chose to quit. Jim Acosta did not want the slap in the face that would go hand in hand with taking that other time slot. Is that what's going on with Kathleen Kennedy? Is Kathleen Kennedy being told, look, we just can't do it anymore. We have to move on. We can fire you. We don't want to be those guys. You can retire. We'll give you a window by whence you have to leave. It would not strike me as odd if that were actually the case. Nothing in me thinks that Kathleen Kennedy wants to retire without a final FU to the fans and without a final statement on what she believes Star Wars really is. And it does not seem that she is getting that. I believe, as far as theatrical releases are concerned, it's The Mandalorian and Grogu, and that's it. I believe. Could be wrong. The number 4 idea here is the Star Wars property dead. I said earlier, Star Wars guys, the real dyed-in-the-wool Star Wars guys, they don't care about their money, man. If you give them a cool Luke Skywalker poster, toy, statue, lightsaber, they'll buy it. They'll buy 2. Hell, they'll buy 3 if they get the chance. They do not care. They will just give you all of their money. That's how it was. That's how it was. Is that gone? Is that dead? Should, for example, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is rumored to have an AI Carrie Fisher, an AI Luke Skywalker, and Han Solo. Princess Leia. I know it's Princess Leia, but if that happens, and it's actually good, right? The way that Luke Skywalker was pulled off in Mandalorian Season 2, if all 3 of those characters are pulled off in that fashion, can you get Star Wars fans back at this point? Can this thing be resurrected? What would it take to resurrect it? I imagine a whitewashing of the sequel trilogy, but I don't know. Would it just take a few good properties? Maybe, but I think it's too far gone for that. Though, I have to admit, The Mandalorian got a lot of older Star Wars fans back. I mean, maybe not old people Star Wars fans, that's not what I'm talking about, but classic Star Wars fans, it got a lot of those people back. The first season and a half, the first 2 seasons. Can they do it again? Is this franchise too far gone for that type of resurrection? Is this franchise too far gone to come back? And the final thought that I have here, is this the beginning of Disney turning around? This would seem to be, so there's the idea of a lost year, of a lost epoch, of a lost decade. That's not what's happening at Marvel this year. This year at Marvel might be rock bottom. This year at Marvel is going to have Captain America 4, which is utterly bombing by reports from WDW Pro, Valiant Renegade, etc. That movie might have to make $1 billion to break even, and it's charting for something like 400 million. So that's a bomb. Thunderbolts apparently comes out this year. That's going to bomb. That's going to be awful. Fantastic Four comes out this year. Guys, I saw the trailer. I don't know what it's about. I saw the trailer and it looked like one of those fan-made trailers that you see floating around YouTube every once in a while. Just nothing made sense. Nothing was connected. I don't know what's going on with that movie. I don't know anyone who wants to see that. And Blade was supposed to come out this year. That was supposed to be 4. Blade's not coming out this year. Blade might not ever happen. How hard is it to screw up Blade? Blade is such a compelling character, but such a simple character. He's got swords and he fights vampires. How incompetent do you have to be to screw up swords and vampires? They've apparently been finding a way for 4 years now. Forever they've been trying to make this movie. Marvel's toast. Marvel's going to have 3 bombs and a non-Servia this year. Can they turn it around? They had Deadpool and Wolverine. Good movie. People liked it. People paid to see it. If they can get a couple more wins, that might be all it takes for Marvel. Star Wars, I think, is going to take a little bit more work. Now, apparently, there is a Snow White movie on the near horizon, and that is going to take things to task for the princess side of the franchises at Disney. How badly does that movie screw things up for Disney? How irreversible will the damage from that movie be? This year, writ large, is going to maybe be rock bottom for Disney. Is there a bounce at the bottom? Is there a dead cat bounce at the bottom? Or do they, Disney, in cartoon fashion, just leave a Disney-shaped hole in the ground and they continue to plummet? Those are the thoughts that I have over this report that Kathleen Kennedy might be retiring. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more videos like this in the future.